Now that we've identified the two criteria that make up a good argument, and we see there are two independent criteria. There was logic and there was facts. Let's now for a second, or for a little while, hone in on logic. And remember, if we're deciding whether the logic of an argument is good, the only question we're asking is about the connection of the premises and the conclusion. And the question is, does the conclusion follow from the premises? That is, do the premises actually reasonably lead you to that conclusion? And we're going to see this a little bit later on, that the answer to the question is of whether the premises lead you to the conclusion, that is, whether the conclusion actually follows from the premises, depends on something that we're going to call logical form, kind of the form of the argument, the kind of argument, the shape of the argument, the pattern that the argument takes on. And hold off on that one. We'll be talking about this, but I just want you to understand that the question is whether the logic is good is a question of logical form. So when we're looking at good arguments, we're going to call them well-formed arguments. And the thing to emphasize on the negative is that if you're trying to figure out if the conclusion follows from the premises, don't worry about whether the premises are true, whether they're obviously false or not. It doesn't matter. That is, it matters the truth of the premises. The factual content of the premises matters whether it's a good argument, but logic isn't concerned with facts. It's not concerned with the reality of the world. It's concerned with what kinds of statements lead you reasonably to conclude another kind of statement. So it doesn't depend on the actual truth value of the premises. So if you're being asked the question, is the logic of the argument good? Is the argument well formed? Don't say the argument is well formed because or don't say that the argument is not well formed, does not have good logic because the premises are bad, are false. Okay, so just to emphasize this, when we're talking about well-formed arguments, we're talking about arguments that have good logic. That is, a well-formed argument is one in which the conclusion of the argument actually follows from the premises. And another way of putting that is that it makes a good inference. That is, the inference of the conclusion from the premises is a good inference. And we'll be looking at what makes up good inferences and what makes up bad inferences.